So I've come to the conclusion that nobody ever again is going to make me feel inferior or unhappy without my permission.
Hurry up, let's go.
We were at the beach a couple of years ago, had on a bathing suit, and my wife looked at me and she said, "Boy, you are skinny, aren't you?" I said, "Honey, I'd like to remind you that it was minor defects like that that kept me from getting a better wife. You know, if I was bigger and stronger." Well, I don't think I'd make that same mistake again if presented with the opportunity. But it isn't looks. Looks doesn't have a thing to do with whether you're going to be positive and optimistic and help people and believe in yourself. Then I used to think the reason I didn't believe I could succeed was intelligence. I am not very smart. When I graduated from high school, I ranked 234 in a class of 278. Now that didn't bother me, but it did upset me when the principal said it was a rather stupid class overall. And the guidance counselor wanted to know if I was going to work in the steel mill of the pottery, and I said, "I'm going to go to Kent State University." She said, "You don't have the academic background to succeed." She said, "You'll flunk out." I said, "You don't think I'm very smart, do you?" And I'll never forget what she said. She said, "Lou Holtz, a lot of people don't know what's going on." She said, "But you don't even suspect anything's going on." And it's true. But ladies and gentlemen, it isn't looks, and it isn't intelligence. I want to give you 3 simple little rules that we've used at every school I've ever coached to raise the self-image of people. The same 3 rules I have for our children, the same 3 rules I have for myself, and I'll guarantee you these 3 rules are so simple I'm embarrassed to cover them. Do what's right, do the best you can, treat others as you like to be treated. Whether you're involved in athletics or whether you're involved in life, we feel there's a very simple formula to enable you to reach your true potential. Do what's right. It's right to be honest. I can't begin to tell you that if we're going to have a society, it's got to be based on honesty. I'm going to tell you this, in everything you do, you've got to be fair to people. Anytime you treat one person different than the other, you are being unfair. And we can't afford to be unfair in our lives, and we can't afford to be unfair in this football team. I think whenever you have any doubt about the right and proper thing, just say, is this the right thing to do? Whenever you have a disagreement with somebody, ask yourself, is this the right thing to do? See, if we don't do what we know in our heart's the right and proper thing in life, then we're going to get a poor self-image of ourselves in our subconscious mind. The second rule is to do the very best you possibly can at all times and all ways. Not everybody can be All-American, All-Conference, or First Team, but everybody can be the best they're capable of being. I don't ask our athletes how many of them want to win. Everybody wants to win when the band's playing, the crowd's cheering, the TV lights are on. The question I ask is, can you live with losing? Can you live with failure? Can you live with mediocrity? I love what John F. Kennedy said in 1960. They asked him if he would accept the vice presidency of the United States because he's young and he's a Catholic. He said no. He said once you accept second place when first is available, you have a tendency to do it the rest of your life. What we're doing. When do we feel best about ourselves, ladies and gentlemen? When we went the extra mile. When we lay our head on the pillow late at night, tired, worn out, and exhausted. But we know we really paid the supreme price. No matter what the task is, do it to the best of your ability and just as though you're going to put your name on it. Your name is very, very valuable. You got it from your father. Maybe it was all he had to give. But it's yours to use and cherish for as long as you may live. You may lose the what he gave you. It can always be replaced. But a black mark on your name, son, can never be erased. So guard it very closely, because after all said and done, you'll be glad the name is spotless when you give it to your son. We don't do our children a favor by allowing them to do the bare minimum. See, you can't be a great leader. You cannot be a great coach. You cannot be a great administrator. You cannot be a great parent if you don't have a strong faith in yourself. How can you tell when they're done? Because if you don't have a strong faith in yourself, you're going to want the approval of the people you're dealing with. No, that's not too much. What do we appreciate are the things we work for the most, the things we strive for. There's no way in this world you can be happy or you can achieve success
if you aren't willing to work for things and to do it.
We have a little motto here at the University of Notre Dame. That is, first we will be the best, and then we will be first. Very simple. Treat other people as you like to be treated, sometimes referred to as a golden rule. I've never seen a business, a family, an organization, or a football team that cannot be changed around completely if you can generate love and feeling. In my high school banquet, they gave out a most valuable award. That was the most important thing in the world to me at that time. And I went to that high school banquet with all the anticipation of winning it. And they said the most valuable player is, and before they called my name, I stood up, and they said the most valuable player is Jack Doty. Well, that was rather embarrassing because I was already on my feet, so I immediately led a standing ovation for Jack Doty, with tears running down my cheeks. The speaker was a guy named Eddie Finnegan from Western Reserve, and I only remember one thing he said. He said, take the opportunity to let people know you appreciate them before it's too late. Unfortunately, we don't do this very, very often. Nice to tell your parents you love them, you appreciate them. And I really wish you would put it down in the letter again before you go. We've talked about this before. You have no idea the impact that you can have on other people. The letter you write your mom and dad, I'll tell you this right now, they'll read it at least 10 different times. They'll sit there and they'll read this thing over and over and put out your heart on it. The rules guarantee success, whether we're talking about a football team, a family, or an organization. Why do these 3 rules guarantee success? Because there are 3 universal questions that everybody asks of one another. Every parent of every child of every parent, every player of every coach of every player, etc. The 3 universal questions that everybody asks about one another subconsciously are, can I trust you? Are you committed? Do you care about me?
My wife and I have been married together this summer, 54 years, 27 apiece. But the only reason we can be married 27 years together is she must be able to trust me, I must be able to trust her. If we can't trust one another, there's no way in this world we can remain married.
All right! All right!
Athletes must trust me. But I've got to have athletes I can trust as well. If they can't trust me or I can't trust them, we don't have a chance. And anytime you deal with the public, you must have the trust of the public. Because without it, you don't have a chance.
Really close. The second question everybody asks, are you committed to excellence? Everybody wants to be identified with people that aspire to be the very best. Maybe not the very biggest, but certainly to be the very best they possibly can. And the third question everybody asks is probably the most important question. That is, do you care about me? Do you really and truly care about me? Or do you care about me because I can run or throw or catch? Do you care about me as a person? You're a great group. I want to tell you this. I appreciate you. I have great respect for you. I also have great optimism for this football team. Appreciate them. Call them up. Let's get out of here.
And you aren't going to build a successful team, a successful family, or a successful life overnight. I have great respect for you people because of the effort it takes on a daily basis. The poem that says, I saw a group of men in my hometown. I saw a group of men tearing a building down. With a heave and a hoe and a mighty yell, they swung a beam and the sidewall fell.
I said to the former, these men skilled, the type you'd hire if you wanted to build. And he laughed and said, why no, indeed. He said, common labor is all I need.
Right, tear down the deer, too, what it took a builder 10 years to do. And I thought to myself as I walked away, which of these roles
am I going to play? Am I the type that constantly tears down as I make my way foolishly around? Or am I the type that's trying to build with care in hopes that my community, family, or organization will be glad that I was there?
I'd like to leave you with a true story that happened several years ago that illustrates these 3 things. I'd gone to the University of Arkansas. We were getting ready to play Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. We had a very fine football team, had a very successful year. But we had those 3 rules: do what's right, do the best you can, treat others you like to be treated. And unfortunately, I was called upon keep 3 young men from participating in the football game because they had violated a rule we had, and it was a serious rule. We went down to play Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, and I want to tell you, nobody gave us a chance to win the game. We were a 24-point underdog, and every time you picked up the newspaper, it talked about the great athletes from Oklahoma. Never once did it talk about a good athlete from Arkansas. They said about how bad we were and how bad we would get beat. And you know what? They talked about didn't have a chance in the world, and our football team believed it, and they started acting that way. I had a meeting 2 days before the football game in the Four Seasons Hotel. As the athletes came in, it was the quietest group you'd ever seen. I never did this trick before publicly. But I said, you know, this is like any other newspaper. You have front page for people who want to read the news. You have the comics for people who can't read. You have the editorial page for people who can't think. I said, you know, it's really amazing. You're going to roll over and die because you read your obituary in the newspaper. I said, you really have to have a faith and you have to have a belief. If there's one thing in this world I wish I could get across to everybody in this world, don't let people tear you down. Don't let people cause you to lose faith and confidence in yourself and in what you're doing. If you believe in yourself, it's so easy to lift other people up. I said, you know, we really can win this football game if you really have a strong faith and you have a belief. But if you're going to believe that somebody can tear you up and you can't put yourself back together, you're in real problems. Now, I said, I'm going to tell you what, we're going to go around this room and I want you to tell me why we can win. And I suggest to you here today, sometime you sit down and list all the positive things about you. But I said, I want to know why we can win. Surely there's something that we have going for us. As they started thinking about it, they got up one by one because we weren't leaving that room till they started telling me why we could win. And they got up, I said, I want it to be positive and I want it to be sincere. They said, well, you know, we do have the #1 defense in the country statistically, which we did, and it was intact. And if we are going to lose, we aren't going to get beat bad because they aren't going to score a lot. And I want to tell you what, as the more they talked about one another and looked at why they could win, you could see the whole attitude change. They trusted one another. They were brought together. But they made a commitment to one another that evening before they left there. That win, lose, or draw, they were going to be the best they could be. And you could tell that they cared about one another when they started praising one another. Boy, I tell you, it's amazing what happens when you look for something sincere to say positive about somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, when that football team left that room that day, they were a different team. The news media stopped coming to practice by that time. But the next day we had an unbelievable practice. And in our locker room before the game, you could feel the trust, the love, the commitment all came together. You could feel it. I didn't know if we'd win, but I knew this, we were going to be outstanding. Because the attitude was there. Now, I've had people say to me, I knew you'd win that game the way your team came out that locker room door. They said, I've never seen a team that fired up. What'd you tell them? I said, Oklahoma's big, mean, strong, nasty, and aggressive. I said, the last 11 of you out of here are going to have to start. Boy, tore that door down to get out. We won the football game 31-6. A tremendous upset, and it wasn't coaching.
Okay.
The prime example of trust, commitment, and love.
So the philosophy is very simple. God gave us a lot of powers, but it's our power to choose whether we succeed or fail. If we choose to succeed, we got to realize we're going to have to overcome adversity. The basic philosophy of any business is to help people get what they want. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get anything in this world you want, which constitutes a goal. A good, healthy self-image is not caused by looks or by intelligence. A good self-image is caused by doing 3 simple little things. Rule number 1, do what's right. Rule number 2, do the best you can. Rule number 3, treat others as you like to be treated. Because those 3 rules answers the 3 universal questions everybody asks. Question number 1, can I trust you? Question number 2, are you committed to excellence? Question number 3, do you care about me as a person? As Oliver Wendell Holmes said, what lies behind us and what lies ahead of us is of very little importance when it's compared to what lies within us. If trust, commitment, and love lie within any organization, I promise you it will be successful.
Cheer for Illinois.